The father of the 14-year-old shooter has been arrested, charged with murder. The school district released new pictures of the victims while the teen is due in court this morning, where he will be charged as an adult with 4 counts of murder. Faith Abube is on the scene in Winder, Georgia. Good morning, Faith.
Yeah, good morning to you, George. The suspected shooter and his father appeared separately in court this morning for their arraignment. The son staring straight ahead at the judge, the father rocking back and forth as the judge read their charges, telling them if convicted, they could each spend the rest of their lives behind bars. Breaking overnight, authorities arresting the father of the teenage suspect in that tragic Georgia high school shooting.
His charges are directly connected with the actions of his son.
54-year-old Colin Gray now charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 8 counts of cruelty to children.
These charges stem from Mr. Gray knowingly allowing his son, Colt, to possess a weapon.
Sources telling ABC News investigators believe Colin gifted his 14-year-old son an AR-15 style rifle for Christmas, which the teenager used to terrorize his school Wednesday, leaving 4 people dead.
We're heartbroken. A young person brought a gun into a school, committed an evil act, and he took lives.
This as the suspected shooter, 14-year-old Colt Gray, also faces 4 counts of felony murder for allegedly killing those 4 people and injuring 9 others. It comes as ABC News has learned of possible early warning signs, with the shooter displaying an affinity for mass shootings, and the FBI receiving anonymous tips as early as May of 2023 about a disturbing post Gray allegedly made on the social media platform Discord, where they say he had possibly threatened to shoot up a middle school the next day. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office interviewing the suspected shooter at the time, saying he denied making the post. His father interviewed too, telling investigators there were guns in the house, but his son did not have unsupervised access, adding that his son was being picked on at school.
I worry about him in school and, what would ever happen.
The sheriff's office saying there was no probable cause to make an arrest at the time, but they urged Jefferson City school officials to monitor Gray, the student later transferring to this new county, where authorities say Wednesday he allegedly gunned down his victims. The community now mourning Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angulo, both just 14 years old, along with teachers Christina Aramy and Richard Aspinwall.
I honestly thought it could have been my last day, probably ever alive.
Aspinwall student 17-year-old Brian Maldonado sprinting into action the moment he realized his math teacher had been gunned down.
I look up and we can see his body halfway through the doorway, just laying there, like taking his breaths. And then we later on hear his final breath.
Maldonado leading other students to quickly barricade the door.
We found a cabinet, so we put everything like there, desks, chairs, whatever we could really put. We just put it in front of the door, hoping the shooter won't come in. Really, it's just scary. God was watching over us that day.
And neither the father nor son requested a bond. They also did not enter a plea. Their next court appearance is scheduled for December 4th. Michael?
And it looked like they're making the parents accountable as well, Faith. Thank you so much for that.